Now, it feels like life is probably throwing you a lot of challenges at the moment. But what happens if these pressures that you're experiencing are actually guiding you? Now, we're coming up to the end of 2024. We've got some pretty powerful alignments in the sky, and they're actually designed to help you become more consciously aware of the empowered version of yourself. So I want to explore with you in this video today exactly how these transits are actually working for you and not against you. Now, Pluto and Mars are in an opposition. We've got Venus in a new phase to Pluto, and we've got Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury all in a T-square, not forgetting Uranus. This is all about awakening an agency. This is all about empowerment. This is all about moving away from old patterns that don't work for you. And it's about giving you a fresh start that feels honest and authentic in your life. So I think what we'll do is we'll start off by breaking down the Mars-Pluto aspect and continuing from there so that you can really understand how these transits are working for you and not against you. So let's explore the mechanics of this Mars-Pluto opposition first. So Mars retrograde in Leo, right? Whenever Mars is retrograde, this is a withdrawing energy. So the mechanic of this is pulling us inward within ourselves. The Pluto in Aquarius is the energy of exposing something so that we can then understand what needs to be let go and what we want to regrow, okay? What we want to emotionally commit to. Now, Mars is also making an aspect towards the North Node, which we know is the planetary ruler. So this energy, this mechanic between the two is actually showing us, hey, every action and choice that we're reflecting on is consciously pointing towards what our current evolutionary leading edge is about, okay? And then we've also got the South Node and North Node axis of Libra Aries coming up to a culmination, right? We're ending this entire cycle, which I will be doing a video on the entering into the Pisces Virgo section. But for right now, as we're culminating this Mars-Libra axis, all the pressure that we're experiencing is actually about what we're ready to transform within ourselves so that we can step into the Virgo-Pisces axis. It's pretty intense. So if we look at the wisdom that comes out of this aspect, what we're actually seeing here is this pressure, right, through this withdrawing mechanic from Mars retrograde in Leo and the energy of Pluto forcing emotional confrontations within our lives to bring us awareness around what we actually want within our lives and what we don't, right? And that's where the cutting out and letting go and relieving ourselves of any emotional attachments that don't actually feel authentic to us. And this is the slow process of this Mars-Pluto opposition. We're going to be having it for quite some time. So the wisdom here, the silver lining as it were, is recognize that with this Mars-Pluto, you might feel the pressure building up in you to say, oh, I've got to free myself from this. Pay attention to that because that's what you are working towards progressively letting go of. And as you do that, you also simultaneously create the space for the excitement and the energy for something that feels more authentic and real and alive within yourself. Because part of this energy is showing you where life is actually wanting to grow versus where life has become extinct. Okay, so the mechanics of Venus in Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus and the trine to the South Node in Libra works like this. Venus wants to consistently push you beyond your comfort zone within the context of relationship patterns. It wants you to break free from anything that no longer works for you, okay? And it's working really well with Mars in opposition to Pluto. The square to Uranus will bring you the sudden realizations and epiphanies that will help you move beyond any of these comfort zones, okay? So that's actually a pretty cool aspect, even though it can probably feel at sometimes a little bit jarring or decentralizing, right? Sometimes Uranus needs you to recognize that your comfort zones are actually holding you back. Now, Venus's trine to the South Node is pointing to where there are old relationship patterns within yourself that you might have adopted from societal conditioning, the values that you had when you were growing up that are still holding you back, or anything that you still carry from the past that is not what is honest and authentic for you in the future, right? That trine is bringing it to the surface. It's saying, hey, here's a scenario or a situation. And the entire aspect, right, with Venus in Aquarius and Uranus and Taurus and the trine here, will help you free yourself, okay, and help you challenge any pre-existing patterns that feel outdated within yourself. So the wisdom here, the silver lining of this transit, is that in order to become more connected to real value within yourself and to become more connected to what is valuable within relationships that are honest and supportive towards yourself and that actually celebrate your authenticity, then this transit will bring up on a more conscious level what it is that you are ready to let go of. So both the Mars opposed Pluto and this transit will bring you a lot of the tension that you will feel in your body as like, this doesn't feel right for me anymore. And then you just look at that and say, okay, this is the thing that I actually need to get rid of. This is the thing that I don't feel is right for me. But what's also great about this at the same time is that it helps you become more conscious of the parts of you that are feeling excited for something that you want to grow towards, right? The Uranus impulse is taking you further into something that feels your new life, new opportunities, new situations, new experiences. And this whole entire pressure pattern is leading us to become more emotionally connected to that, rather than staying in old patterns that are feeling comfortable but are redundant and have no life left, but you're there and you might even feel emotionally disassociated from it. This energy wants to say, hey, it's time to wake up and bring some fire and life towards the thing that actually matters to you. Okay, so let's look at the third and final aspect that is taking place in the sky right now. We've got Jupiter in Gemini, we've got Saturn in Pisces, and then we've got Mercury in Sagittarius. This is forming what is called a T-square. Now, this pattern is actually so potent that it is changing the way that societies will organize themselves. Whenever you look at the way that a society defines its laws and organizes itself and essentially defines its cultural myths and perspectives, you're looking at the natural relationship between Saturn and Jupiter. Jupiter is the part of the culture that will say, these are our cultural truths, these are our myths that we uphold, and Saturn is the part of the cultural institution, right? What types of laws, what types of regulations, what types of rules we want to put in place that uphold these belief systems. So you can see that with the natural square between Jupiter and Saturn, there's some pretty powerful changes taking place on a social level. But with this Mercury coming in, right, in Sagittarius, on a personal level, what's actually happening here is two things. Firstly, Mercury in Sagittarius is coming off the end of its retrograde cycle. So our mind is fresh and ready to start paying attention to new patterns within our lives, okay? The square to Jupiter retrograde in Gemini is actually creating the feeling of tension between the realization of what we're ready to want to take and absorb and process within our world going forward, and what feels actually outdated within our personal perspective, right, our cosmology. The square to Saturn is actually bringing this into reality for us. Okay, Saturn is bringing that into reality. So the way that this entire T-square is working in terms of a pressure and working for us is that we are simultaneously aware of patterns of truths or perspectives that we feel are honest and authentic and are real for us, and we want to commit to that. And we're also simultaneously aware of any belief systems that might actually be holding us back, that are stopping us from stepping into a more authentic and honest version of ourselves. So you can see this very interesting pattern that is emerging with the three aspects that we're talking about here. On one hand, we have energy moving forward that's saying, here's where we want to give life to. And on the other hand, we're also seeing where energy has become outdated, that doesn't feel emotionally right for us, where emotional patterns and relationship patterns are not serving us, and what types of belief systems are holding us back or that we might hold about ourselves or about the world that don't align with this newer and more honest and empowered version of ourselves. So the Jupiter-Saturn Mercury square is bringing the component of our belief systems into focus and saying, here's what we're examining and ready to become consciously aware of that does not work for us, and what we actually want to start giving meaning to, right? It's this feeling of getting rid of anything that doesn't have any realness to us anymore and becoming more emotionally attached and psychologically attuned to and intellectually aware of the patterns that feel honest and aligned within ourselves. So this is how these transits are actually working for us. The pressure with all of these three planetary alignments is forcing us to be conscious of what we want while simultaneously becoming aware of the things that we want to get rid of. And in my eyes, that's incredibly magical. Now, the main takeaway from these transits is this. If you're ready to embrace some of the discomforts that these pressures bring, if you're accepting some of the challenges that you're going through, you're actually coming closer to connecting with your inner sense of truth. And if you're really navigating these transits with intent, you're going to find yourself having a lot more clarity within your life around the things that you actually want and the things that you don't, as well as having a stronger sense of purpose. This is going to all lead to a feeling of a more empowered version of yourself. So really take the time to reflect on what's taking place within your world and how these pressures are bringing up the connection to your authentic truth. Okay, so if you want a written version of this report and more written content from us, I'm going to leave a link to our newsletter in the description. All you need to do is just put your email address over there and you'll receive the written versions of this and any updates that we want to share regarding our content on the astrological forecasts, okay? All right, guys, thanks very much for listening. I hope you got a lot of value from this, and please let me know what experiences you're actually going through in the comment section. Until the next video, take care.